Om Sadashivat Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Let's go back to our Panchadasi, verse 50, chapter 6. The opposite of the other is the self, which is the same, another name for Kutastha. Yeah? Let me turn this internet here, sorry. Turn off. It's another name of the self is Kutastha. The opposite of you, however, is I, which is the egoism, the jiva, the ego, the jiva, which is superimposed on Kutastha. Yeah? So the opposite of you, the self, however, is the imposter, okay? Is the jiva, the ahamkara, the egoic jiva, the superimposed, which is superimposed on Kutastha. Why they put it in terms of opposition? Because one is real, one is unreal. One is, a byproduct of Maya, the other is beyond or before Maya. One is bound by time, the other is timeless, and so on. So we saw a few passages to reveal the Kutastha, which is the purpose of our meetings here, of this text. We need to negate the entire universe. And that goes with negating everything which is phenomenon, which means negating the reflecting medium, the subtle body. And not only we're going to reflect the reflected consciousness, we're going to negate the reflected consciousness, okay? The Chidabhasa, yeah? In his Vishwa, as a Vishwa, the waker, and then the dreamer as well. And also the Pranya. All of the three are going to be negated. So we are negating everything in Mithya, okay? So that we can have the Kutastha revealed to us. And then what makes this passage interesting, it says even the I has to be negated. How can I know the self? We know the self when the I goes. So say the scripture, when the I goes, you will know the self. The very I is the knower principle. So the I is the agent who knows Jagata, Shvara, Jiva, Jagata, creator, creation, and creature. So the creature appears as Aham, the I, the Ahamkara, and the knower, experiencer. And this Aham, this I needs to go so that I will know the self. And then the whole thing here is like, how am I going to know the self if I have to destroy the knower, the Aham, okay? The experiencing knowing entity. It's a very profound discussion because self-knowledge, is it a self-knowledge, intellectual knowledge? No. But do you need the intellect to get self-knowledge? Yes. So how so? It seems there is a contradiction there. Okay. So we need this knower, this I, this intellectual, this intellect faculty, and this has to be somewhat purified and refined so that it can be negated. But what you're going to use to negate this I, the I itself, as I often put, the I at the end has to exclude itself so that only the self is left, as it says in some of these passages here. How you know that only the self is left behind? Okay? Because I have negated the I. But what kind of malabarism is this? So you need the I to negate the I. So if you negate the I, so who is there, to say that now there is no I here? So how can I negate the I and still have self-knowledge? If in order to have any knowledge, I need the knowing entity, okay? So one may ask, if I negate the I, which is the knowing entity, how can I know the self? If I can know the self, again, the knower principle will be retained. The guy is still object. If I can know the self, again, the knower principle, the agent, the aham, is going to be retained there. Therefore, there is no question. It's illogical to think that I need to negate the self, negate the I in order to know the self. So the knower will be retained in the case of all kinds of knowledge. There is no way we can negate the Chidabhasa. So how we know? They know that the moment the intellect negates itself, the I, the aham, negates itself, we need to be sure that the only thing left behind is the self. The self is left behind as the only thing, Then one will ask how to know that the self is left behind. Okay, I need to negate the I. The I is the knowing entity. Once I negate the I, and then the self is left behind. And then the objector is going to say, but how do I know that the self is left behind? If a knower should be there to know that the self now is the only principle left behind. And Vidyaranya says, somehow the guy wants to bring back the knower again and again, this objector, So he does not understand that the knower has to go. And knowledge, of course, in the intellectual faculty of the knower, but the knower has to go. So this is such a subtle subject that Shankaracharya in his Mandukya Upanishad makes an important statement. Mahavakya does not help you to know the self. It only helps you to negate the knower. So beautiful. Again, Shankaracharya, to shed some light on this passage, says in the Mandukya Upanishad that the Mahavakyas of Vedanta, the final declarations of the Vedanta, of the Upanishad, does not help you to know the self. It helps you to negate the knower. So if you negate the knower, and then what is left? The self. But then how can I know that the self is? Because the self is self-knowing, is self-luminous. Okay? So once we negate the I, the ego, the knower, it's a very subtle teaching, this one. The intellect is making enormous effort to realize the self as his own being, but still there is some dualities there, okay? And then it's negating every possible subtle superimposition it's producing, okay? And then in the end, the knower is there. He say, okay, so I have avoid all kinds of superimpositions and so on. And I still, and then the scriptures come and say, now you have to negate the knower. And the knower, the agent, is going to say, oh my God, if I negate myself, who is going to be there to know the self? The self is going to know itself. The self is self-knowing. So that's the moment that the jiva recognizes clearly and directly, that, the self is my true nature, my true identity here. And I know the self by the self, as the only reality, okay? So it helps only to ultimately negate the knower. In other words, sometimes I put it in my expositions that in the end, the very subtle intellect needs to be questioned by itself and rejected, The very intellect, the instrument on which self-knowledge is going to take place, needs to negate itself, and then there is self-knowledge, And the self-knowledge is the destruction of the knower as my identity. Okay, the knower is going to be there. Yeah? The agent is going to remain. Nobody is going to die. There is no question of cremating anybody or anything. It's just that it's no longer going to be there as my true identity, my real identity. Okay, it's only the self is left over, left behind. Everything was negated, and that is the whole talk in the New Advaita, in some circles, that says that self-knowledge is like spiritual, not spiritual suicidal, it's ego suicidal of the ego. Yeah? So the body-mind complex has to commit suicidal to realize, in the sense that it has to let go of this wrong notion that I, the ahamkara, am the self. Okay, so, and that is something difficult for most people because of avidya, because of attachment with our, intellectual, our body-mind complex, especially in a later, more advanced stage, identification with all our profound spiritual knowledge, our profound epiphanies, and so on. So this is still the intellect holding its identity on the body-mind complex, rather than say, okay, this is all mithya, net. So I'm negating even my intellectual faculty. I know I cannot even make this happen. This final click is in the hands of Ishvara, and we're going to see more about that in the follow-up here. When we should say to bring about, to destroy, to negate the superimposition, we should say aham is superimposed upon the self. Chaitanya wise, you should say Abhasa Chaitanya is superimposed on Kutastha Chaitanya. We have Abhasa Chaitanya superimposed consciousness, okay, which is reflect consciousness. Abhasa Chaitanya is superimposed on Kutastha. And then you understood it in its subtlety. The reflect consciousness has to take its place, because ultimately we say that reflect consciousness is original consciousness, but reflect consciousness has to keep itself in its place, okay, and never superimpose itself into original limitless consciousness, okay, as we say. So original consciousness is reflect consciousness in its true nature is original consciousness, but original consciousness is not reflect consciousness. Reflect consciousness depends on many other factors, okay, but the true nature of the reflect consciousness is original limitless consciousness. But we should stop projecting the limitations which are inherent to reflect consciousness on limitless original consciousness. The superimposition has to be taken care. There is a mixture of the original self and reflected self. This mixture is going to be nicely unfolded here. So we all have these two parts, this mixture of Satya and Mithya, the Ahamkara and the Atma. And the Yoni lives and transacts, but he's not mixed up in terms of identity. He's mixed up, everybody's mixed up. We need to have this cocktail of Satya Mithya to exist as a Jivatma. So the Yoni took care of this confusion, but he remains mixed up, but not intellectually mixed up. He's aware of his true identity in Satya as Satya, and he just allows his secondary identity in Mithya as Ahamkara to go and to exhaust its course. Okay, he has no problem about that. He understands what part of myself is satya, and therefore I identify with my true nature. I am free from whatsoever happens within the field of experience of the jiva-atma, of the ahamkara. Okay, and that attenuates greatly the human suffering, the difficulties that every ahamkara has to go through, regardless of how enlightened, how purified the ahamkara may be. The verse 51. I mean, again, do you guys enjoy these kinds of analysis?
I certainly do.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it as well. I find it actually very practical as well. There's lots of practical points here.
Oh, yeah. It's practical to the extent that one is already doing a lot of nididhyasana on that level of inquiry, you know? So one has to be there to appreciate it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
As the distinction between silver and this is clear, so also the difference between I and the self, the ego, ahamkara, and the self is going to become clear. But the people in the grip of delusion is identified with the ego, with the immutable self. The I with the immutable. Grip of delusion, identify I with the immutable self. So different I and self. But the people in the grip of delusion identify I with the immutable self. Okay, superimpose the I on the immutable akarta, limitless self. So here Viduranya says that the self and I are opposite by nature. One is limit and the other is unlimited. Chidabhasas, as we know, are many, but Chit is one, non-dual. In Chidabhasa, there are divisions, and in Chit, there is no division. Chidabhasa travels from lokas and from births, and Chit does not move at all. In Katha Upanishad, says Chidabhasa and Chit are like light and shade. They are opposite. So if you have light, it illumines everything, and then there is shade. Why there is shade? The shade because light is not there, and then there is shade. So they are opposite because if light comes in, shade goes away. So that's how it is. Consciousness, once it's fully recognized, and then ignorance is dispelled. Normally, they would not mix together, but the greatness of Maya is such that is the unmixed pair, that the unmixed pairs of opposites are mixed. And that is due to avidya, ignorance. They are not mixable, but somehow they appear to be mixed. Mixing the unmixable is the miracle or the greatness of Maya and ignorance, avidya. So Maya is that which makes the impossible possible. We know this expression, and Maya is so incredibly tricky that he managed to mix two things which are unmixable. So light and darkness cannot be mixed because light is going to dispel darkness. But Maya managed to mix them. You understand? They manage things which are opposite by nature, kutastha and matter energy, the ahamkara, kutastha and matter energy. They should not mix because one is satya and another is mithya. But we, the jiva-atmas, we suffer from this mixing up problem due to the power of Maya, that which makes things impossible to appear possible. So the Ahamkara and the Kutastha, they are like opposite by nature, like the silver and the shell. Yeah? In this statement, there are two parts. This refers to the real shell. Yeah? And silver is a superimposition on the shell. Yeah? This is shell or this is silver. This refers to the shell, the satya, and silver refers to mithya, the superimposition. They should never be mixed together because one is reality, the other is unreality, but somehow it appears to get mixed up in the human intellect, in the human mind. But in truth, they cannot be mixed up. Like the real Jesus and real silver, the difference is very clear between Kutastha Chaitanya and reflect Chaitanya, the same thing. They should not be mixed up. We should not have that much of a confusion, no? But they appear to be mixed up, and Jivatma is confused. Even though they are opposite by nature, people are deluded. Mostly everybody in the world are deluded because of this great power of Mr. Maya regarding Vyavaharika and Paramatika, the fundamental true nature of the universe, and Vyavaharika, the material nature which was superimposed on the Paramatika, on the essential fundamental nature as Satchitananda, the Vyavaharika, all the Namarupas are superimposed. They are mixed together due to this great power of Maya. So the confusion between Vyavaharika and Pratibhasika in the example of the shell and the silver. I already touched the subject here and there, that there are two mixing up, two confusions. One is the Vyavaharika, which is already a superimposition that makes us confused. This one is Vyavaharika and Pratibhasika, which is what we see, the way we experience this Vyavaharika. So in the example, silver and shell, there is a Vyavaharika saying, which is, this is shell, but somehow the Pratibhasika reality is projected by the human mind and says this is silver, okay? Vyavaharika and Paramatika is the most fundamental confusion or superimposition, because we see the universe, we see the body-mind, and we see this is reality because I can touch, feel, see, hear, smell, and so on, and taste this body-mind complex. This is reality. And somehow it's sustained by the Paramatika nature that sustains everything in the universe. But because Paramatika is the most subtle that pervades the entire universe, it becomes the most invisible, not perceivable by any means of knowledge except the Upanishads. So, and then we mix them both together, the Vyavaharika, the universe, and the Paramatika, the foundational ground of existence, of conscious existence that receives the superimposition. They are mixed together, and then we have both mixtures, Vyavaharika Pratibhasika and Vyavaharika Paramatika. Because of this, they treat the mixture as one composite mix, even though they are two distinct entities. The Adhisthana Chaitanya and the Abhasa Chaitanya are mixed between the Ishvara and Jiva, which will be discussed later. There are two things the two levels of superimposition here. So the Adhisthana Chaitanya, original limitless consciousness and the reflected consciousness are mixed between Ishvara and Jiva, which will be discussed later. So in either case, we see Ishvara is happening. We see we see the scope of Brahman, of consciousness, okay? So we have Ishvara as a superimposition, and then we see the superimposition called Jagata. We have Jiva, which is a micro superimposition. And this Jiva is going to be mixed up as well with Ishvara and not really clearly understand this relationship. The verse 52, Vidyaranya used a technical word, tadat maya dhyasa, okay? Is a mix-up of the real and the real. And mistaking real as unreal and unreal as real is this word, tadit maya, okay? We don't need to memorize this word. It's the mixing up, it's the confusion between the real and the unreal. Why does it happen? And who managed to bring this mix up, which represents a disaster for the Jivatma? Vidyaranya says that avidya is responsible for this mixing up. Avidya, he says, is the greatest acquisition from our past. I found this a very nice statement. Avidya, as we know, is beginningless. Is beginningless ignorance. And the entire universe comes out of this ignorance, is sustained by this ignorance, and it goes back from time to time to this ignorance at the time of Pralaya. And the Jiva-Atma goes back to the prana, to the macrocosm causal body from birth to birth, okay? So it's due to our acquisition. This ignorance is something that we have accumulated over the past. Avidya is in abundance. It's another interesting statement. Avidya pervades the universe, sustains the universe, as we have determined several times, because without ignorance, where this universe is going to go? What is going to hold this universe in place unless we attribute reality to it? You understand? That's the way Jivatma is a co-creator of the universe together with Ishvara. Ishvara is the facilitator. After all, it's the Jivatma who keeps working to keep this universe, because it needs a ground on which it can carry on the game of experiencing duality.
Arlindo, I have a question, and I'm not sure I know how to pose it coherently, but is there a vidya without an experiencer? And is Ishvara an experiencer? I mean, but supposedly in some of Tattva Bodh, we heard everything sort of rolls out in succession, and jivas and are the last. The Bhutanis and all that stuff come first. But without an experiencer, how can you say there's anything?
Well, there are some of our texts explains this, saying that ignorance is bliss, as we hear often. In the state of deep sleep, for example, there is mula vidya, total ignorance. You understand? And
prajna, and also the experiencer, prajna. So there is no experiencer.
Yeah, that is another aspect of our teachings, that sometimes it's presented as something really, as an experiencing entity, but it's experiencing nothing. So when you experience nothing, you mean to say, oh no, he's experiencing space, okay? So okay, but he's not really objectively experiencing anything, the prana, okay, in deep sleep, or he is experiencing the absence of everything, as we could say. And that we can resolve that, understand to the fact that it experience, it is another Maya nature, which is limitless nature, because when there is nothing other than prana, And prana resolves itself in Ishvara, which is the macrocosmic causal body. So avidya is there in that condition. Okay, there is avidya there, but there is no room for mistake. There is no room for, how you say, superimposition, projection. You know, I mean, in other words, there is room for deep ignorance of Varana, but there is no room for vikshepa, because we suffer of two problems. One is not knowing, the other is projecting knowledge, but the knowledge is wrong knowledge. Okay, so in avidya, total ignorance, okay, there is a certain experience of emptiness or nothingness. There is no duality, and the scriptures say there is an experience of Anandamaya, okay, of one without a second, okay, without anything else. Okay, it's a very subtle teaching, because prana, that it's many times resolved into the causal body of Ishvara, you know, is their experience, the first manifestation of the non-dual nature of Brahman, yet appearing in the light of Maya Ishvara, producing Anandamaya. So there is ignorance there, and there isn't an experience. And your question was, is there ignorance without experience? Was that your question? Or what?
That kind of is, yeah. Is there, I mean, it seems they must both be party to to ignorant. I mean, in experience there must.
So the point I'm trying to make here is that in ignorance, in total full ignorance, we are enjoying the limitless nature of the causal body, okay, Anandamaya, and we are not experiencing duality. Duality is what brings us problems, okay. So we are not having that, and yet we are being ignorant. So in total ignorance, there is bliss, Anandamaya, and there isn't duality, and we are good there, and we do very well there in total avidya, in total ignorance. You understand? It gives us a hint that duality is the problem, but in spite of that, we live in duality, and as long as our parabada still unfolds, we cannot do anything about duality. So, and then the only way we can neutralize the problems of duality is by understanding that duality is just a superimposition of many different names and forms of gold on that which is the only reality, which is the gold, the nature of all ornaments of gold. So we understanding that all of this is only limitless conscious existence. You understand? And then duality is going to be showing up every day as a mirage. Okay, but you know that this is mithya, and that is what's going to neutralize duality without removing duality. You understand? So I think those are relevant points to be understood in regard. But he's going to go so deep into the avidya, saying here, he is going to divide our problems in four principles. So avidya, avarana, vikshepa, and the mixing up of sati and mithya. I don't know if you guys read the text, but there is a lot of meat in there, as James would put.
Thanks so much.
Avidya is in abundance. This in mithya, avidya has been already talked in the past chapter, Mula vidya was introduced there, beginningless, original ignorance. Mula vidya is another name for Maya, by the way. Okay. If this adhyasa, this superimposition, is going to bring about good result, then we would retain this superimposition. But it's okay. It's going to bring okay results if you know that a superimposition is a superimposition. It's not real, absolutely real. The entire samsara is the cause of this adhyasa. And therefore, so we have samsara. What is samsara? Is what is going to cause superimposition. Why superimposition comes into play? Because our ignorance, okay, our inability, no? So avidya is there, and it's covering our perception of reality, it's projecting interpretations, yeah? And then as the result, we're going to be more confused than ever, because I'm not only mixing up vyavaharika and paramatika, but I'm mixing up everything, even with my own pratibhasika, my own interpretation. There is total mixing up. And this mixing up needs to be dissolved, neutralized. For this, its cause, avidya, has to be uprooted. So the only solution is the uproot of avidya. When avidya is eliminated, so its byproducts is going to be eliminated as well. If we remove a cause, so the effects of that cause are going to be removed. How can we remove this avidya? Vidyaranya gives the answer in the verse 53. According to the laws of the universe, darkness can be eliminated by light only. Similarly, ignorance can be eliminated only by knowledge. For removing darkness, there is only one method, which is to bring light. Ignorance can go only when we bring knowledge. The knowledge does not come in the normal course of one's life. This is a nice passage. Will knowledge happen by itself, intuitively? Will it fall from the sky? It's going to be sudden. It's going to be gradually. No, it will not fall freely like that, okay? Knowledge does not happen unless we make an effort to gain knowledge. We need to make it happen, as he says here. We need to work for it. Whatever be your lifestyle, knowledge does not happen. Even if you have a New Age lifestyle, a lot of people in the New Age circle, they have a beautiful, perfect, spiritually correct lifestyle. They have crystals and proper colors and everything. So whatever your lifestyle, knowledge will not take place without effort. And we need a means of knowledge. We need to make it happen. So go to a guru and get educated. Vidya, knowledge, I am Brahman, will remove the problem. I am the body-mind. The problem is divided into 4 parts. So the problem is divided into 4 parts. The fundamental problem is Maya or Mula Vidya. This Mula Vidya has 2 powers. One is Avarana Shakti and the other Vikshepa Shakti. Now he's introducing 3 factors, 3 parts. One is Maya, Mula Vidya, and then it has 2 powers. One is Avarana and the other is Vikshepa. Avarana covers the truths, and Vikshepa projects our interpretation, projects something. Okay, like we don't have enough sattva guna, we don't have much clarity, we live in twilight zone, and then when we see a rope, we do what? We project the false snake. Okay, so Avarana is going to cover my perception of reality, of the true nature of this ahamkara, the avarana, this Shakti that comes from Mula Vidya, Mr. Maya, is going to make it difficult for me to see things as they are and to see the fundamental true nature of the ahamkara and the world. And then these two powers, Avarana is going to conceal the truth, and then Vikshipa will project my own perception, false perception. So we have Mula Vidya, Maya, we have Avarana, we have Vikshipa. After the false projection comes, the false and the real are mixed up. So once the false perception, I am the ahamkara, comes, and then we have three principles in operation. We have Maya, we have Avarana power of Maya, and Vikshipa power of Maya. No, we have Maya, Mula Vidya, and we have Avarana. And then once these two things are together there, and then comes what? Vikshipa, which is a projection. Because human beings, we hate not knowing things the way they are. Have you noted that? We always jump trying to assert ourselves. No, I know. You know these people, you cannot have a conversation without them say, I know. And to be like in a position of saying, no, I don't know. It humiliates the ego, the ahamkara. The ahamkara wants to know. And then when it sees something and cannot see things clearly, and then it says, no, I'm not going to state here that I'm ignorant. I'm going to say, no, I know what it is. And then I make my talk about what it is. Now we see it in every human circles in society. So once we have Mula Vidya, and then we have Avarana, which is there, which is, this fundamental energy responsible for grossification of energy, which is going to appear or operate the human intellect with excess of tamoguna, is going to make it difficult for me to see reality. And then immediately I project, because I want to be the knower. I want to be sure that everybody knows that I know. And then we have a mix-up between the real and unreal. So first we have Maya, and then we have Avarana, and then we have Vikshipa. Vikshipa is the false perception, the false knowledge, the bad knowledge of the Jiva Atma, trying to get scientific knowledge, but again and again missing out and having to revise and correct. And then when it comes to spirituality, it wants to know the self, who am I, what am I? And again, I fall for Vikshipa's power, and I start superimpose this state, that state, this epiphany, this insight, this silence, this bliss, or whatsoever. I keep Vikshiping my experience on the self. So when I have Mula Vidya Maya, the concealing power, and my projections, which is the false, my false perception of reality, and then we have in the end the cocktail, which is the mixing up of these three principles, which is the fourth one. And the fourth one is called, there is another name, where is it? And this fourth one is that difficult name, it's Tadatmaya Adhyasa. Okay? So Avidya, Avarana, Vikshipa, and the fourth problem, which is the mixing up of Satya and Mithya, the mixing up of my Pratibhasika superimposed on Vyavaharika, which was superimposed on Paramartika. You understand? You following? So everything got mixed up, and then I have a picture in my mind which is false, which is unreal, mixing up of absolute reality, relative reality, which is what? Pratibhasika, Vyavaharika, and then my false perception, which is the Pratibhasika, And then we have those two levels of mixing up, which is the force problem here. Vidyaranya says that only this profound self-knowledge will destroy the three factors, whereas the force factor will not be destroyed immediately. It will be destroyed gradually. So this is an interesting subject we have heard here and there in some of the expositions of James without much elaboration. Vidyaranya says that knowledge will destroy three factors. Which are these three factors? Is avidya and avarana. And you can even, let's go here because I don't want to make any false superimposition on the teachings here. Avidya, avarana, and the mixing up. You're going to say something, Lynn? So we have four factors, but the fourth factor will not be immediately destroyed, okay? It will take some time. Avidya, avarana, and mixing up, the three are going to be destroyed by self-knowledge in the case of Jiva Mukta. But even in the case of the Jiva Mukta, the other factor will take some time. And this other factor is vikshepa, superimposition, okay? So we looked into four principles, four factors, okay? The first one is maya, and then mulavidya, avarana, and then vikshepa, which is going to create the false perception of reality, and then we have the mixing up of real and unreal. So the mixing up is going to be resolved because I understood the real from the unreal. So Mula Vidya was neutralized, Avarana was dealt with, okay? But there is another factor that is not going to be destroyed right away. And even in the case of the Jiva Mukta, the other factor will take some time, and that is Vikshepa. And that is why Jiva Mukta continues to live until the next class. We continue living, okay? Because Vikshepa is going to keep projecting our Parabhada, and Jiva Mukta has to live. And projection, this power of mind, of Maya, of superimpose our interpretations, and here and there, they are going to carry on. But the Jiva Mukta knows how to deal with that. He never takes it seriously. Our own projections, the wise never take it seriously, you know. It's interpretations, understandings, and knowledge. So the real wise one comes to a point that says, okay, any and everything that I try to know, it may be sometimes good insights and so on. But anyhow, I trust the insights coming from the scriptures and our great gurus, you know. And then we're going to look into this. Vidyaranya, in the continuation here, talk about these four factors. Once the false entities project, which is the snake or the ahamkara, avidya is there, the ignorance, mula vidya is there, avarana is there, which is I am ignorant of the fact that the rope is a rope, and I don't see it. Vikshepa is there. Why? Because immediately I bring about a snake. So all these three factors are there. After the arrival of the snake, another thing is involved. So I'm in the land of the falsehood. So I'm living a false perception of reality because I see a snake, I see the ahamkara on Brahman, on my true limitless Satchitananda nature. We mix up the ahamkara with Satchitananda. I mix up Adhisthana rope, which is the isness, the existence of the rope, and I project the Vikshipa snake, which is a project Namarupa. One is Satya, the other is Mithya, but both now are mixing up, the real and the real, and I see them as one unity. No ignorant person will ever say, I see the Satya rope and I see the Mithya snake. The ignorant person will always say, no, I see the snake. The wise will say, I see the Satya rope, and sometimes I see a snake. You understand? But I know that the fundamental nature of the Ahamkara is Brahman. So the Ahamkara is going to be popping up, but it needs to be neutralized because this superimposition is natural. This is the Vikshipa factor that takes some time to get neutralized. So we mix up the Adhisthana rope and we see both as one single unity. So we see my Ahamkara nature and my Brahman nature in one single unity, okay? And I get confused, very confused. This mixing up of the Adhisthana Satya and the Adhyasa, the superimposed Mithya, Namarupa, or body-mind complex superimposition on Kutastha is called Tadattimya. These are the four factors, okay? And I want you to remember, so he wants us to remember that there are four factors there, okay? Operating all the time. And the last one is the mixing up. This mixing up is what makes things confused. I see it all as one. For all these, the foundation is Mula Vidya. Therefore, Vidyaranya says, when you destroy Mula Vidya, all the others will go away. Avidya is destroyed by Yana, and is destroyed by Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. Once Avidya is gone, the other will go as well. The Varana, Vikshepa, and the mixing up will go. In the case of Yana, the other three, the three will be destroyed, but not immediately or at the same time. There is some order. The order of gradation is that of the three, two of them will go right away. That is, in the wake of knowledge itself, the mixing up will go, Avarana will go, meaning to say the mirage water will go, when I was, and the sand also will go. No, the mirage water I saw when I was unaware of the sand. The mirage water will go immediately. So as we have understood, the perception of duality, this superimposition, this Vikshepa power of Maya is going to keep projecting phenomenal objects on that which is nominal, which is the ground of existence, consciousness, okay? But there is a universal law called Vikshepa that's going to be producing infinite Namarupas on Brahman, okay? The water perception will continue as we cross the desert. But the mixing up is not happening because I see the water as Mithya, and I see the sand as Satya in that case. I don't mix it in much. I'm not misled, but still, this Vikshepa power continues. The mirage, no. So it came to my mind something very, a little story. And then he will go in the next verse on the way it takes some time for this Vikshepa keep, jumping into the party and try to project things. With wisdom, we this tendency to project our Pratibhasika diminishes. The projection of Maheshwara which is Vyavaharika, it's continuous, okay, and that you see, and then we have to correct that and say, okay, everything here is Ishvara, but fundamentally Ishvara is Brahman, but our personal projection of Vikshipa nature, of projecting our Pratibhasika interpretation, that goes fading, diminishing. In certain instances, when we are more stressed, it happens because there is more Rajaguna there. But these things are going to gradually be diminishing, okay? And as our Parabhada unfolds. We're going to see more of that in the next class, but I remember one bird. There is a special bird in an ashram in India. I forgot to give the address of that ashram to Mark. You go there, and then there is a big bird. It's a bird that very few people know. It's beautiful, and it has a very, very long, how you call? Umbico.
Beak.
Beak.
Yeah.
So
Beak.
it has a very long one. And sometimes the cooks in the ashram there, they see the situation, the delivery of milk was short, and then what they do, they cut the milk with water. Okay, human nature. No, let's cut the milk with water. And the Swami there, the guru there, does not like that. And then he goes there, and he wants the cooks to take care of that problem. The cooks go there, take this beautiful creature with this long beak, and then he goes there, okay, remove the water from the milk and just leave the milk left alone, okay? So this animal, this ape, this creature, has a certain name. And the name of actually, we could say that is Viveka, discrimination, the real from the unreal, okay? But it could be exactly our exercise of Nididhyasana, okay? Again and again, doing this neutralizing, this confusion, this mixing up, stopping this mixing up by removing the non-essential attributes and remaining with the fundamental milk, okay? So something on those lines. Okie dokie. So we're going to begin again next week from this locker here. And we have class on Thursday, okay? Okie dokie. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, my good friends. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Vidyaranya. And thank you, Swami Paramarthananda. And we talk soon again, next Thursday, in 1 week. Namaste.
Okay, thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.